guys, it's Hannah. I am coming back for my second video. Now I'm gonna do a video on getting tested for COVID. I've been working as a nurse swabber since June or July-ish and was working at a drive-thru clinic, and now I'm in a actual clinic with 4 walls because we're in Minnesota and it's really cold and we can stay out there forever. I'm gonna be mostly going through stuff that I've gone through on my Instagram and hopefully a little bit updated version of that information because I did do it a while back. But fortunately a lot of the information has stayed the same. This is gonna try to be geared towards people that have maybe never been swabbed, are nervous to be swabbed, or are just kind of curious about how the whole process goes and what you need to know before you go get swabbed. I'll say swabbed and swabber many times, and none of us are gonna like it. I'm also gonna be reading some stuff from my phone, so hopefully that doesn't get too annoying, but I have already compiled all the information, so I didn't wanna rewrite it. So the first question was about, is there actually a difference in the accuracy of nasal testing and other tests, like the oral test, spit test, mid-turbinate tests? And the answer is yes. And when I made this, it was a little bit bigger of a divide between those different things. Right now, the nasal swab and the mid-turbinate. So mid-turbinate is the one where they go on both sides and they go up to a little bit past the bridge of your nose. So it's still kind of uncomfortable. Usually people's eyes water or you sneeze afterwards, but it's not the nasopharyngeal one, which is the one that goes all the way back. And that's the one that people say feels like you're tickling their brain. That's the one with the long wire swab. The mid-turbinate one has recently at my clinic, and I will only be speaking to my clinic because I know nothing else. The one at my clinic that we're doing now is the mid-turbinate swab, and that one has been deemed to be equally as accurate as the nasopharyngeal swab, which is what we were doing before because it was the most accurate. So now we're able to do this one that is less invasive and just as accurate, which is what we've all kind of been waiting for, so that we don't have to do the more invasive one that goes way far back. A lot of people come into the clinic and ask for different kinds of tests, like an oral test, which we do just like a strep test where they use the tongue depressor, and then a long cotton swab and we kind of go near the tonsils. A lot of people ask for that because they think it will be more comfortable, especially for kid patients, for ped patients. This is kind of fun. Especially for peds patients, because parents hear how uncomfortable the swab is and they don't want to put their kid through something uncomfortable. But what I tell them is it is a lot more uncomfortable and a lot trickier for kids to do an oral swab. An oral swab, they have to keep their mouth open, and any kid that is not interested in doing the swab will just close their mouth, and there isn't much you can do after that. Whereas with your nose, if you're holding the kid right, they can't close their nose. So it's safer for nurses and easier for parents. I always really recommend the nasopharyngeal swab for kids. We do that across the board for kids under 13, and people over 13 can get the mid-turbinate swab up to their bridge of their nose. And then the oral test also, I don't know the exact number, but it's not as accurate. I think they have an 87% accuracy rate, which is not comparable to the nasopharyngeal or where the mid-turbinate is at right now. And that brings me to the spit test, which I know a lot of people are looking for and hoping for and wanting to get, and it's something that you can do at home, things like that. Obviously less invasive and easier for a lot of people, less daunting. If you want to talk accuracy, you want to do either the nasopharyngeal or you want to do the mid-turbinate swab. So start there. It has to come from a little bit further back. It has to come from your airway. That's what we're looking for. I just tell people that it's easy to get swabbed. It really is. And I can kind of go deeper into that as kind of my spiel that I give to patients that are nervous about it. Trust your clinic when you're going in there. Whatever test that they're doing, it is research-based, and they're not trying to put you through any more discomfort than necessary. Personally, unless you have a deviated septum or something anatomically that changes what test you should be doing, I really encourage you to trust the nurses and the teams that are at these swab clinics, because it is with reason that they do the swabs that they do. They're not trying to make your kid or yourself more uncomfortable than you need to be. The next question that I got was somebody just said that they're getting swabbed today and they don't want to, and that's totally fine because it is uncomfortable. What I always tell people is you've done harder things for longer than 5 or 10 seconds. We see people come in with babies and tattoos and piercings and all those things, and I just always say that was more painful or more uncomfortable than this swab will be. I also tell people that it feels like getting water up your nose, And I, to be clear, have had both of these tests done. I've had the mid-turbinate and I've had the nasopharyngeal one. It feels like something's going the wrong way, and it is. For some people, they might experience a little bit of pain, but I wouldn't really say that it's painful. I would say that it'd be a little bit dramatic to say that it's painful. Some people I know have had a broken nose at one point. If you had something with your sinuses, you get bloody noses often. Things like that could contribute to somebody having a more negative experience, but overall, it is not a painful experience, and it is an uncomfortable experience, as it should be. It'd be kind of weird if you were just neutral about something going the wrong way in your body. It's like when you throw up, something's going the wrong way back out. It's uncomfortable. That's the way I look at it, is that you've done harder things for more than 10 seconds, and 10 seconds, if you think about it, is not that long, and you can do it, and you could do it even if it was painful or really, really uncomfortable, of which it is not. I really encourage people not to be discouraged by this swab, because I think a lot of people talk about how horrible their experience was, and I would really like to debunk that myth that it's a really hard thing to do or something that you should put off because you're nervous about it. And I would just encourage you to ask people questions that have experience with it, or the nurse that is swabbing you. Let them know that you're nervous and let them tell you the reasons why you don't need to be, because there's a lot of reasons why you don't need to be nervous about this. The next question is about how long it takes to get results back. We have a lot of people that come in and say, I'm traveling tomorrow and I need a negative result to do that. Can you make my test go faster? And I don't have any control over that. We're just doing the swab for that 10 seconds, and then we scan it, put it in the computer, and never see it again. So with the numbers that we have right now, it's really not possible. We have something called rapid testing in my clinic, and that's just for people, it's almost always like a surgeon or an ICU nurse or somebody that is irreplaceable and needs to do something tomorrow. And they need to test negative so that they know that they can go into work tomorrow. And not many people are that important. If you're replaceable, you likely won't get a test any faster than the next person. But yeah, I don't know. That maybe wasn't a good answer. Also, reminder of how long it takes is just like supply and demand. It's just how many people are coming in. So if you are coming in 5 days after Christmas because you think you were exposed at Christmas, that's probably when a lot of other people were thinking they were exposed too. The highest number that we're doing a day at my clinic would be like 1,500 swabs a day, and on a slower day it might be more like 400. So there's such a broad range of what we are expecting for volume of swabs, and that obviously affects how quickly the lab can get through them. So just be aware of that. That isn't saying that you shouldn't get tested on a busy day, because you will likely still get your results back pretty quickly, but be aware of that sometimes we're doing like 3 times as many swabs as normal. The next question is, does a negative test give you the all clear? And to that I say yes, kind of. Yes, kind of, because it is a very good indication, especially with the accuracy and the specificity of the tests that we have right now. It is a very good indication, but there's a lot of factors that go into it. I know a lot of employers require 3 negative tests to prove that you're negative. What I usually tell people is it's easy and covered by the CARES Act and things like that, that you can get swabbed until you have that peace of mind. I think that if you're up all night worrying about if your negative test was accurate, I would just go and get swabbed again. The other thing to note is that right now we're saying from the day of exposure, it will take about 5 to 8 days to show a positive test accurately if you are in fact positive. So if you got exposed yesterday and you know that you just licked somebody who had COVID, you should not go get tested the following day. If you're having symptoms, it might make a difference, but I would really say just quarantine for those 5 days, or you can round it up to about a week. We say 5 to 8 days. So quarantine for a little while and then go get tested. So you only have to get tested once, and you can kind of feel that it's more accurate and have a little bit more peace of mind. The other thing to note in that regard is that me saying that you can get tested again for peace of mind is dependent on where you're getting tested, or when and where you're getting tested. Right now, we have plenty of swabs and resources to be testing people, and our volumes are not as high as they might normally be. So I would say get tested if you want to get tested or need more peace of mind, because it is no sweat. But when volumes in the summertime were really, really high and people would just keep coming back in and we were running out of swabs, people would just come back in because they didn't feel like their test should have been negative, and it was, and that's not really an appropriate use of resources. So again, if you're gonna get this test done, you should know about what influences the accuracy of it, but also trust the accuracy of it. Know, kind of what you're getting into and what your results will indicate. Okay, I'm gonna wrap this up because I think that it is getting long. I did want to put in a footnote about health literacy and people having an understanding of coronavirus and getting swabbed and things like that. I recently did swabs at a homeless shelter, and it was really, really difficult because people without healthcare resources and a basis of healthcare knowledge are much more fearful of medical intervention and testing and things like that. We struggled a lot with people saying that they thought that we were putting the coronavirus in them. They thought that the swab that we were putting in their nose had coronavirus on it. There's obvious and clear reasons to most people why that is not true and why that would not happen. However, people come in without having trust in the healthcare system, and that's for good reason. Especially BIPOC people have not been treated equally in the healthcare system, or people come in and English isn't their first language. It is really hard to put faith in the healthcare system if you don't know anything about it or have not normally been treated fairly. When you're saying just trust the test or just trust the healthcare worker, I realize that that is easier said than done, and sometimes not done for reasons that I personally don't understand because I've always had access to healthcare. So that's my little disclaimer about if you are a nurse swabber or know somebody that's hesitant about getting swabbed and things like that, the more education that you can provide them, the better, and don't put fault on them for being, a conspiracy theorist or concerned about things that seem irrational to you. That's all I have to say. I hope that you guys are all getting tested as much as you need to get tested. I hope you have the resources. I hope you have the education, and hopefully this was a little bit helpful in easing your mind about getting tested. This is kind of going to be part 1, and then I'll do a video on getting vaccinated and maybe one just on COVID in general, or like debunking some myths, or I kind of want to do one about how you respond to people that do not believe in the severity of it. So I think if you have other questions or questions even about the video today, I can either respond in the comments or do like a little bit of a intro that responds to residual questions in the next video, because it'll all kind of be on the same wavelength. I am going to end this video here, and thank you guys for watching because it's video 2 of 2, baby, and I am excited about this channel. So thanks guys, bye. 'Cause